I think we can all admit that $250,000 is a fair amount of loot. I mean, unless you're a Kardashian, $250,000 is a lot of money. And to learn that Hunter Biden got a $250,000 wire transfer from Beijing is, well, for many of us, par for the course, because we've been paying attention. We read what it is that James Comer is putting out there from the House Oversight Committee. We have been watching this family and almost the devil may care attitude regarding, yeah, we were trying to make a profit. Yeah, we were trying to get the Biden family thing going here. We're not shy about this. What? The Clintons are the only ones who can figure out how to make a couple bucks? Remember what the Clinton Global Initiative always was. Why give directly to a charity when you can give to the Clintons? And then the Clintons will give to the charity. That's genius, because it was the Clintons not caring about the charity. You would have to believe that the Clintons actually care about Haiti. It was the Clintons selling access. That was the goal, and goal achieved. Guys, welcome to the show, presented by Americans for Prosperity, americansforprosperity.org. Economic liberty, free speech. This is what it's all about. Americansforprosperity.org. Going long form. There's a tremendous amount to get to today, but this is the big one. The $250,000 wired to Hunter Biden from Beijing, from this guy, Jonathan Lee. Now, who is Jonathan Lee? I think it best if I let James Comer explain it himself.
Well, I can tell you that on the wire that Hunter Biden received from the Chinese national, the beneficiary address listed was Joe Biden's home address at a time where I'm pretty certain Hunter Biden was not living in the home of Joe Biden. But if you go back even further than that, this Jonathan Lee, who wired the $260,000 from China to Hunter Biden's personal account, he is part of the Chinese Communist Party. He is a huge business person in China with a Chinese-backed entity that funds investments in the United States. So what the one issue in Congress that Democrats and Republicans agree on is we don't want China taking over industries important to our national security. We don't want China buying farmland. This is the guy that does that. Jonathan Lee is the person who represents China. And if you research it, Joe Biden met with Jonathan Lee. He wrote a letter of recommendation for his child to get into college in the United States. There is a relationship that was developed between Joe Biden and Jonathan Lee when he was vice president, and now we have evidence that Jonathan Lee, who Joe Biden said his son never took any money from, said his son never took any money from China. Hunter Biden's lawyer said that Hunter never received any money from this guy. We have evidence that he received over $250,000, and the address listed on the wire was Joe Biden's personal residence.
And this is why the impeachment inquiry is so very necessary. Now, some people are saying, no, Tony, you got it wrong. What is necessary is impeachment. We have to have impeachment. That's what it is that we need. You're not going to get me to argue that Joe Biden isn't good enough. You're not going to get me to argue that Joe Biden somehow deserves to be in office. I mean, gets elected, we'll deal with the fighting later. I just don't go right to impeachment because impeachment is a political tool. We should utilize it as such. And if you say to me, Tony, that's so callous, I'll point you to 2 impeachments of Donald Trump and say, you taught political left. You did this to America. You taught America that impeachment is a tool to utilize at your whim to get your political desires, if not to throw somebody out of office, but at the very least, to damage them. This is what Harry Reid taught when he utilized the nuclear option regarding reducing the threshold for a vote. This is what Harry Reid taught when he said of Mitt Romney when he was running for president, that guy doesn't pay his taxes. He said in the well of the Senate, people forget this, about this despicable man named Harry Reid, the late senator from Nevada. Shamefully, they named the airport after him in Vegas. So you got to go through the Harry Reid airport before you go to lose all your money at Harrah's or wherever it is you go. It was him who said, Harry Reid, who said, Mitt Romney doesn't pay his taxes. When people said, hey, what do you mean Mitt Romney doesn't pay his taxes? What proof do you have that Mitt Romney doesn't pay his taxes? Harry Reid said, ask him. Don't ask me. What are you asking me for? These people have been teaching us for years how to use politics as a cudgel to destroy our opponents. That's what they've been doing. And somehow they're shocked at us for noticing. I don't want it. I don't think actually you want it. But if this is the world that they're going to create, well, then holy hell, you got to fight. So if impeachment is indeed a political tool, which it is, you got to use it in the proper time. So what's more valuable? The impeachment that won't get through the Senate and will be seen as political in a way that is harmful, or the slow drip of information about exactly how corrupt Hunter Biden is and Joe Biden is? Which one's more valuable? Which one's more important? I argue without any hesitation, none, zero hesitation, that what is more important is the slow drip. So this impeachment inquiry starts today. And this impeachment inquiry is very important in getting out this information, getting out this data, getting out these facts. $250,000, I think it was actually $260,000 wired to Joe Biden. Now, some people want to make the claim that this isn't actually something that matters because this didn't happen when Joe Biden was president. Why would it matter? Why would anybody care? He wasn't president. He wasn't vice president. I think it's happened in 2019. What's the big deal? Laura Ingraham actually on Fox asked James Comer this exact question.
People were saying, well, but this happened before Joe was president, before he became president in January 2020. Why does that matter?
It doesn't matter. And it happened while Joe Biden was a candidate for president. He was already running for president of the United States. And this wire from China, who's our biggest enemy, that's the one thing in this hall where I'm currently being interviewed, there's massive disagreement on funding levels for the government. I don't think that's any secret. One thing that we all agree on is China's a threat to the United States. And here we have more evidence of the Biden family receiving millions and millions of dollars from our adversarial country for who knows what. The Bidens never have said what they did to receive the money. What did Hunter Biden do to receive $250,000 from a Chinese national affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party?
That's the best question asked. And it's been asked by Comer, and it's been asked by a series of people. What the hell did Hunter Biden ever do to get this money? What did he ever offer? What did he ever provide? What skill set to get the $80,000 a month from Burisma? And the answer is, when your last name is Biden, no skill set is necessary. One of the most telling things from the Devon Archer testimony, the former business partner of Hunter Biden, and you'll note that this is true the minute you hear it, because you never heard pushback to it, is that no one ever said that Devon Archer wasn't telling the truth. Everything involving Hunter Biden, the business partners, putting Joe Biden on the phone, the dinners and everything else, you will note that no one ever said, well, that didn't happen. Representative Dan Goldman of New York, who is an embarrassing cat, who wanted to push the idea that Hunter Biden wasn't selling access. He was trying to tell people he was selling the illusion of access. You understand that it's Dan Goldman who made up that line and then pushed that line. Kerry Pickett of the Washington Times had pointed that out very, very well. That line did not come from Devon Archer. That line came from the Democratic congressman from New York, Dan Goldman, pushing it on Devon Archer to try and get him to say it so he could say, you see, it wasn't about access. It was about the illusion of access. No, it was about access. And we certainly know this from the firing of the Ukrainian prosecutor, Shulkin. We know that the prosecutor got fired not because it was necessary and certainly not replaced by somebody solid, but because he was actually doing his job as the reporting tells us and was possibly looking into Burisma and their really problematic business dealings. No one ever said of Devon Archer, no one ever said of the testimony of Devon Archer, well, this isn't true. This didn't happen. No one said it. So you have to, by definition, be left with the, well, there's a lot there to be believed. Because there's a lot there to be believed. And one of the things that you realize as all these people are reaching out to Hunter Biden's company, Rosemont Seneca Partners, Rosemont Seneca this, I don't know why Rosemont Seneca, is why. Why in the world would anybody reach out to him? And the only reason is his last name is Biden. Now, this is not a political point of view. You could take the most non-political person in all America, and they'll say to you, oh, yeah, that's nepotism. Oh, yeah, he was letting his dad know things and trying to get some help there and doing all sorts of stuff. That's absolutely what was happening. Because that's absolutely what was happening. What was happening was the sell of access. What was happening was an opportunity to influence policy. That's what happened. And the $260,000 wired from this Chinese national, Jonathan Lee, as the statement goes, they have subpoenaed, has the House Oversight Committee, and obtained 2 bank wires revealing Hunter Biden received payments originating from Chinese nationals, including Jonathan Lee, in July and August of 2019, when Joe Biden was running for president. So now that we know this, what do we do with this information? And I say to you, don't run to impeachment, engage the inquiry, and start dripping out the information. Dripping out the information is what it's about, and that involves patience, and the political right doesn't want patience. I hear you. Look at what these people have done to Trump. Whether you support Trump or not is inconsequential. Look what they've done to Trump. Look what they do to Republicans. Look at how they lie. Look at how they abuse the Justice Department. This two-tiered justice system. Well, Tony, it can't be two-tiered. Look at how they indicted Bob Menendez. $100,000 worth of gold hanging out in his house. I had some people email me. I was talking about this on radio. And of course, I was talking about it on radio. It's what I do. And I was talking about it on air. That's probably the better way to say it. And they're like, why are you making fun of people who have gold in their house? It's a great hedge. I'm not telling you that you might not have gold in your house. I'm telling you, there isn't a way Bob Menendez, the senator from New Jersey, has $100,000 worth of gold ingots in his house. Are we all crazy? You know, I know, everybody knows. He didn't say, I'm going to invest in gold now. No. Somebody showed up with a forklift and dropped it off. Or maybe it was just a very large dolly with those super thick wheels, you know, the knobby ones. We know that's how it went down. If you told me that you had cash in your house, I'd say to you, okay, makes sense. I mean, if the banks have some kind of issue and you want to be able to have cash, it makes perfect sense. And let's say you had, I don't know, $10,000 in your house. I'd say, okay. You had $50,000 in your house. I'd be like, whew, okay. $400,000? Unless you're a rapper. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You're telling me a senator from New Jersey has $400,000 in cash lying around? Well, that's probably exactly what you'd think from a senator from New Jersey, to be honest with you. But I didn't realize the Senate paid so well. It happened somehow. And you absolutely get the feel from the indictment that it's irrefutable, the level of corruption, although he's not resigning. And don't forget that he's not resigning. Never forget that you fight to the very, very, very end. Remember, if Al Franken had fought against the pressure to resign for that photo that he took, was it Leanne Tweeden where he was groping her, or that's what the photo alluded to? If he had fought that, he'd still be a senator today. He regrets it every single day. You fight to the very, very end. This is what the political left has taught. What the political left tries to do is say, when the right does it, it's the worst thing in the world. And when the left does it, what are you even looking at? Why are you such a bigot? We've learned these lessons. We've learned them very, very well. And we are not going to respond to that anymore. We shouldn't respond to that anymore. I mean, we should have a standard. Don't get me wrong. We should have a standard for our people. We should have a standard for those, quote unquote, on our side. I think that makes perfect sense. But holy hell. Not because they say what the standard is. They couldn't decide a standard if their damn lives depended on it. Now, one of the bigger questions here coming from this is, how does this affect the election? People are not, I think, coming to this place quickly enough. I've argued repeatedly that I don't believe Joe Biden is going to be off the ballot. I believe that he will still be the nominee. And I believe this because I think it's too late. If I'm looking at it, if I'm looking at the calendar, if I'm looking at the schedule, if I'm looking at the opportunities, I argue that it's simply too late to replace him for any level of practicality. Now, what has come back to me from people who watch, listen to the shows, watch the videos over at Rumble, where you should subscribe, Tony Katz, rumble.com/Tony Katz, and of course, TonyKatz.com, is that, Tony, these are Democrats. They can do anything they want, anytime they want. And of course, that's the right answer. Of course, that's the right answer. We all know that's the right answer. But the idea that they'll switch him out, that is tougher than it seems. It isn't just, okay, now we just go to Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom has his own baggage. Gavin Newsom has his own issues. California is worse off now than when he started. And it's very easy to utilize California to the rest of the country and say, you really want this? It's a very easy thing to do. Gavin Newsom is also attractive to the political left because he can seem like he's rational and maybe attract some independents in the same way RFK Jr. is able to attract some independents. I still don't understand how conservatives are attracted to Robert F. Kennedy. He is not a conservative. He is not an independent. He is a progressive. And the things that he favors deep in his soul through his own conversations will make your life very, very difficult. Outrageously difficult. It will. It just will. So we shouldn't kid ourselves that somehow RFK is some kind of option for the political right. I think it's a massive, massive mistake when people do that. But does the move here regarding learning about Hunter Biden getting $250,000, $260,000 from the Chinese Communist Party, does it change the way the Democrats view him as a potential nominee? And the answer is possibly. They changed the way he walks up the stairs on Air Force One, so there are less stairs so he won't trip. And in going to speak to people on the picket lines for the United Auto Workers in Michigan, he almost fell down the stairs. He speaks, and every time he speaks, it's another gaffe, and another gaffe, and another gaffe, and another gaffe, and another gaffe. It is too often. It is too ridiculous. It's impossible to hide. Impossible to hide. And everybody gets it, and everybody knows it, and you can't just, brush it off. You cannot, no matter how hard you try, brush off Biden every time he does something like this.
So today, I'm pleased to announce we're working with Congress to invest $40 billion in our Pacific Islands Infrastructure Initiative. We call it the PI anyways. It doesn't matter what we call it, but that's what it is. I was going to get back to acronyms, and I'm going to withstand not doing that.
Yeah, he's totally fine. You cannot brush these things off anymore, and the Democratic Party realizes this. And it's why you see the polling where even Democrats are like, yeah, too old. Yeah, I'd like to see somebody else on the ticket. I'd like to see somebody else do well. I actually take this and equate this to the polling we see about Trump, where it shows Trump beating Biden. And I wonder whether or not that's specifically about Donald Trump or whether it's really about Joe Biden. I'd take Trump over Joe Biden. I don't know which way I'm supposed to take that polling. I mean, Trump's just huge up in the polls, but I have issues. I have issues with polling and believing in polling. Just such a remarkable lack of faith in what it is that we're being sold and what it is that's being said to us. But I'll get to that another time. I will. It is only possible that they'll replace him on the ticket. Meanwhile, the other Republicans have to figure out, well, what are they actually fighting for? All the candidates who are going to appear on the debate stage tonight, I'm going to live stream the debate coverage. I have got my bourbon. I have got my cigar all picked out. Again, Tony Katz. How are you? The show is Tony Katz today. You can find it every day, noon to 3 over at stations near you, we'll call it. So I actually have, I forget where I put it. I have my cigar and bourbon picks for the debate taking place in California. I have got the Jack Daniels single barrel proof and the 6 provinces from Espinosa. Now, if you've never had the single barrel proof, it's just wonderful. It is an absolutely terrific. I mean, it's big on proof, easy going down. Now, I happen to like Jack. I dig that banana that comes out of Jack Daniels. I think it's just terrific, and I think people give it sadly give it short shrift. They shouldn't. I think Jack Daniels is great. This is a much more full and complete bourbon there. The 6 provinces, there's a series of those from Espinosa. Espinosa makes the knuckle sandwich with Guy Fieri from Food Network. Eric Espinosa and that team does an incredibly good job. So this is made in the AJ Fernandez factory, Ecuadorian Habano, a wrapper, Nicaraguan in the binder and the filler. It's beautiful in the packaging, beautiful in the presentation. It's named after the 6 provinces of Cuba. And so the one I'm doing, I think, was it the CMW? Is that there's a series of the CMW that's actually, I believe, the airport code for the airport there in Cuba, is why it's named that for that area. Man, Espinosa makes some of the best cigars going right now. They really do. Plasencia, Espinosa, Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust, which is Steve Saka. They're making the stuff. So that's what I'm drinking tonight. That's what I'm smoking tonight. The single barrel proof from Jack Daniels and the 6 provinces from Espinosa Cigars. So you can smoke along and drink along with me for the debate coverage, which will be at rumble.com/Tony Katz. Be sure to subscribe. What is in it for these 7? What do they get? You got DeSantis, you have Nikki Haley, you have Tim Scott, you've got Mike Pence, you've got Doug Burgum, I'm missing Vivek Ramaswamy, and who else? Who am I missing? Wait, who am I missing? DeSantis, Haley, Scott, Pence, Ramaswamy, Burgum. I'm pulling a Rick Perry. Who am I missing? Who am I? Do I have to look it up? I'll look it up right now. I'll tell you right now. Chris Christie. As I said, who am I missing? Is it too soon? By the way, I'm still there. I am still in the idea that Chris Christie needs to run for Senate against Bob Menendez with all these charges against him for conspiring with a couple of Egyptian businessmen and trying to curry favor with him. Oh, he should run for Senate. Do it for America, Chris Christie. Good Lord. I was going to tell a joke. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't. What is in it for these candidates? What really is in it for them? That is a good question. I don't think it's this.
Donald Trump today is different than the Donald Trump of 2016, and you bet. I think he ought to be on that debate stage. He ought to be engaging all of us that are vying for this nomination.
That's a mistake from Mike Pence. And look, I'm an Indiana guy. I knew then Governor Pence. I've had the chance to interview repeatedly. Then Vice President Pence. I like him personally. I think his chances are less and less every single day with what we've seen, if we believe any level of this polling. But why does he want Trump in the debate? What is really in it for any of them if he's there? What is it that they gain? If you're any one of these 7 candidates, what is it that you get from Trump being there? What you get is the opportunity to punch Trump? And whose mind does it change? No, you don't want Trump there so you can hit him. You want Trump there on a national stage so A, Trump can hit himself. I'll get to that. And B, everybody's now a real contender. If Trump is not on the stage, everybody else on the stage is an also-ran. Everybody else on the stage is fighting for second place. If Trump's on the stage, well, then you're playing with the big boys. I think that's a very mistaken way to go about the debate process. And I think that Mike Pence is wrong to push this idea. What Mike Pence should be pushing are his ideas. What Mike Pence should be pushing is his theories and philosophies. And what Mike Pence should be doing is trying to build out his opportunities, to build out his coalition. So when this group goes from 7, remember it was 8, remember it was 9, to 3, he could be one of those remaining 3, maybe grab those other voters and actually say, look at the coalition that I built. Look at the progress that I have created. Look at all the excitement for me. Now I'm going to go out there and I'm sorry, Trump, your time has passed. It's exactly what Nikki Haley needs to do, both having been in the Trump administration. The guy who has the most to lose is Ron DeSantis. Now, I'm going to try and get this up here for everybody to check out. I want to share this with you. This is the latest polling from Real Clear. I mean, the poll isn't from Real Clear Politics, but I got it from Real Clear Politics in Iowa. Right? We can take a look at national polling, but the Iowa polling is pretty important. This poll says Trump 51, DeSantis 21. And I said, oh, really? DeSantis back in the 20-point range? It is the smallest gap for Trump yet. In the Fox Business poll a couple days earlier, Trump was only at 46%, but DeSantis was at 15%, putting Nikki Haley at 11%. This poll, the CBS poll, 51 Trump, 21 DeSantis, 8 Haley. Nikki Haley moving into 3rd place decisively in Iowa. That poll would tell you that Ron DeSantis is moving up. And you could say, well, yes, clearly Ron DeSantis is moving up. Take a look at the national polling. The national polling could tell you the same exact story. The national polling, when you look at it, could tell you that what you see is Ron DeSantis moving up. Here it is. The latest one was Economist YouGov. Oh, that one. Oh, no. The latest one I saw was Monmouth. So the Monmouth poll has Trump 55, DeSantis 17. Economist YouGov has Trump 53, DeSantis 14. In these two polls, Trump is under 40 points. The 38-point spread in the Monmouth University poll is the shortest spread I have seen on the national side. 38 points, 38 freaking points, and it's the shortest spread. And you say to me, so Tony, what does this tell you? What it tells me is that Ron DeSantis has the most to lose. DeSantis's campaign didn't do what it was supposed to do, at least as the polling shows. Now, again, I'm not a believer in the polling. I don't believe in polling. I am 17 times bitten, 42,000 times shy. I just don't buy in. But this polling would state that DeSantis is starting to gain a touch of steam, a couple of these polls. But why didn't he gain any steam last month or the month before, the month before, the month before? Why was he at 30 points in March, April, and then just cratered out? People got to know him. He really is unlikable. He really is wooden. I mean, the idea that these things matter to people is just too ridiculous for words. I don't give a damn about his personality. Can you do the job? I'm not voting for a boyfriend. I'm not voting for a husband. I don't need anybody to be the big spoon. I need you to do the job that I need done and then get the hell out of my life. In 2012, there was exit polling from the Obama-Romney race that Mitt Romney lost and shouldn't have. If he had been willing to do the job in the debates, tell Candy Crowley to be quiet and actually put Barack Obama in the trunk, Romney would have been president for 8 years. And you would have been happy with it. That's the crazy part. Some of the exit polling discussed the idea, cares about people like me. Cares about people like me. I don't care if the president knows my name. Lower my taxes, defend the country, get out of my way. It's all I ever asked for. It's all I could ever want. I have no other desires in the world. I don't need you to like me. I don't need Grandpa Simpson, Joe Biden, to like me. I don't care. It means nothing. Why does it mean so much to so many? They need somebody who cares about me. I need somebody who cares enough about the country to leave me be. But I'm different. I get that I'm different. But when I read that bit of polling, I was like, damn, this is bad news. Because it's this indicator that the electorate isn't thinking the way I would like them to think. They're not they're engaged in something that is superficial and not factual, and that's, to me, is pretty dangerous stuff. So I don't care about DeSantis's personality. It's meaningless. I don't care about Trump's personality either, by the way. I don't. But I started this by saying DeSantis has the most to lose. If you argue that a couple of these polls say he's got a touch of momentum, well, he needs a solid debate performance to make that happen. In order to have a solid debate performance, he has to be the guy considered the threat by everybody else, so they go after him. But I don't think he's the guy they consider the threat. I think in this debate, they're going to consider Nikki Haley to be the threat. I think Nikki Haley, for them, is going to be considered the threat in this debate. Because it's Nikki Haley for the second time in the head-to-head matchups who beats Biden by 6 points, 7 points. Nikki Haley did a good job of beating up Vivek Ramaswamy in the last debate. I'm not saying you like her. I'm not saying she doesn't have issues. I'm not saying you want to vote for her. I'm discussing what the data says. She's the one showing herself ahead. Her abortion conversation connected with people. It did. Hey, look, I'm pro-life, but can we stop demonizing these women? That connected with people. It moved people. It made her to them attractive as a candidate. And on the foreign policy stuff, no matter where you are with Ukraine, she was able to get punches in on Vivek Ramaswamy like Ramaswamy got punches in on Chris Christie. And it helped her tremendously. And so I think she is the one who's going to get the focus of the ire in this debate, if I'm right about that. DeSantis could win by not losing because nobody's going after him. But I think it states that nobody's going after him because nobody's actually taking him seriously. They don't see him as a contender. They don't see him as somebody who's going to be a real issue. They don't see him as being there in the end when it's one guy against Trump or two guys against Trump, two people against Trump. They don't see him being there. I have not felt that way until recently. Recently, I feel that way. Look, I just want to win. I have said this before. I have said this again. I just want to win, baby. That's it. I have no other desires in me. I just want to win. And if I win with Trump, okay. If I win with DeSantis, okay. If I win with Nikki Haley, I'll be okay. I don't have an option. I can't have this Biden insanity anymore. I'm not sure whether America is actually going to go for Trump in a general. I know what the matchups say. I know what the ABC Washington Post poll says, right? He's it was a 52-43 or 51-42, up by 9. He beats Biden by 9. I don't know if I believe it. I know. I'm so terrible. I'm such an naysayer. I don't know if that's about Trump or if that's about people saying, that old guy Biden, I'll take Trump over Biden, because they don't think Trump is infirmed. Although people like Joe Scarborough are desperate to tell you that Donald Trump, mentally he can't handle the job. But Biden can. Age is a conversation, don't get me wrong. But if you're going to say it about Trump and not Biden, you're an unserious person. I'm going to spend no time talking to you, around you at all in any way. I'm pushing you to the side right there. So in this debate, I expect for Nikki Haley to take the hits. I expect her to be the punching bag du jour. Shutdown is going to come up. What is your plan regarding spending? How do you get a shutdown avoided is going to be a conversation. And in every debate, if it's me, if I'm the candidate, I'm talking about the southern border. This is Griff Jenkins of Fox News.
DEA Administrator Ann Milgram on staggering numbers, making it clear fentanyl is taking too many lives, devastating far too many families across the U.S. She's going to join us live in just a minute. But first, to Griff Jenkins, who spoke exclusively with the U.S. Border Patrol chief. He's live at the epicenter of this crisis down in Eagle Pass, Texas. Good morning, Griff.
Hey, Shannon, good morning. And just moments ago, CPP sources confirming to Fox News that in the last 24 hours, another 11,000 total migrant encounters across the entire southwest border. Here, they just keep coming. We want to show you our cameras here. We've got a group in the water now crossing. They're going to be making their way from this small island over, and then they'll try and go through that razor wire. You've got our drone shot as well with migrants in the water that have crossed, trying to get through that wire right now to be taken into custody by the National Guard and the border officials here. They've got more than 5,000 in capacity just in Eagle Pass, Texas. And
yeah, if I'm a candidate running for president, the border is the conversation. Fentanyl is the conversation. Your kids' lives being in danger is the conversation. The streets of New York and the streets of San Francisco and the streets of Los Angeles are the conversation. And the Biden administration failure, the failure of Alejandro Mayorkas, the Secretary of Homeland Security, the failure of Congress, because you should bring in your own party on that one, to make American lives safer. The border should continue to be the number one subject in America, period, because the border is the number one subject. And when people like Representative Ocasio-Cortez open their mouth, deign to open their mouths with some of the most radical insanity you have ever heard. Now, I know what you're saying, Tony. It's Representative Ocasio-Cortez. Everything she says is radical insanity. I hear you, Boo Bear. But did you hear this one from, I think it was just last night? Classic.
Numbers of when it comes to people coming to New York City today are nothing. I'm telling you, nothing compared to the daily amounts of people that we saw coming in through Ellis Island in the first half of this century. We're seeing, more than 12 million immigrants that passed through Ellis Island between 1892 and 1954. And we had seen just huge numbers of people coming in per day that far eclipsed what we're seeing right now.
Because, as you know, it's the 1930s again or something. No recognition of how the world has changed. No recognition of how those coming into the country has changed. No recognition of the economic cost that has changed. No recognition that the people who come to the United States then take the flag of the country they left, that clearly is worse than the United States, and plant their flag. Hey, I'm in America. You should be more like, name the country. The hatred within this commentary from the representative of New York. New York is telling you that they cannot keep up. It's destroying them. Your display. Was there a story about a man being made homeless in a nursing home who was a veteran? Wasn't there a story about that they moved him out for the immigrants who have been coming to New York? Now, as always, the devil's in the details there. But you have got people saying you're going to take abandoned schools and you're going to put in immigrants. Are my kids safe? No, your kids aren't safe. The city is spending untold amounts of dollars and it can't afford it. But if you are somebody like Representative Ocasio-Cortez, what's another tax dollar? What's another tax? The socialists of New York have already said this is a great opportunity to raise taxes. And that means it's a great opportunity for people who are running for president as Republicans to discuss how absolutely ridiculous these people are, how disconnected from reality, and how much they hate the citizens of the country when they push forward these policies. I don't know if they'll do it. I don't know if they're smart enough to do it. I don't. I wish they were, but no. I doubt that they are. I can't thank you guys enough for being here. And I'm going to ask you to subscribe on Rumble, rumble.com/Tony Katz. We've been wanting to do some more long form stuff. And I think with a couple of little maneuvers, I think we got this down pat. Rumble.com/Tony Katz. Find everything I do, of course, at TonyKatz.com. And my thanks to the people at Americans for Prosperity. Appreciate them. AmericansForProsperity.org. Economic liberty, free speech. That is what it's all about. Find the state chapter where you are and go be a part of what it is that they're doing. And I will catch you next time, guys. Take care.